Hey everybody, it's Jennifer. I'm coming back to you live again today because I had a really interesting message earlier about being afraid of the word psychic. And she basically told me, I'm afraid of that. I still don't know why you're using that. What's the difference between that and intuitive? And my first instinct, of course, was, well, look it up. Do your research. And I thought, well, instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is, hi, I see some people coming in. Message me or put a comment if you guys have questions as we're going through. But anyway, so she was asking me what's the difference between intuitive and psychic. And I said, well, for me, it's almost the same thing. It's a little bit different, but it's the same thing. So what I did is I actually have my Mac in front of me and I'm looking it up. So intuitive, it literally says using or based on what one feels to be true, even without conscious reasoning. It's more instinctive, right? So if you look it up, it's originally a Latin word and it says to look up intuit. Well, what does intuit? It just says understand or work out by instinct. So if we go to psychic, it says relating to or denoting faculties of phenomena that are apparently inexplicable by natural laws, especially involving clairvoyance, right? It also says relating to the solar mind. I mean, okay, so you look that up at the original, right there, origin of the word, what does it mean? You look up psychic, it's 19th century, it comes from the Greek word of, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it basically means your psyche. So what is your psyche? If you look up the word psyche, it means human soul, mind, or spirit, okay? So within that, what I want to talk to you guys about is my own thing with the word psychic. I hid behind the word intuitive for a long time. I called myself, you guys probably know this, especially those of you that have been around and seen what I've been doing. I called myself an intuitive life coach. What did that mean? I was still psychic. I just used a different word, right? To me, it's not any different. Hi, I'm seeing people making a couple comments. So let me know if you have questions. I'm going to try to pay attention so that I can answer questions as we go. Basically, to me, psychic and intuitive are the same thing. It's just for whatever reason, the word psychic is like a buzzword, right? Like it freaks people out a little bit. And for those of you that have seen me speak, even when I was life coaching, when I wasn't calling myself a psychic, I would say, okay, this is awesome. When we're talking about these things like self-care and whatever, and is that selfish and things like that, I would say, if you have an aha moment, fantastic. But if I ruffle your feathers, even better, because that's where the growth is, right? Because the things we don't really want to deal with or the things we don't want to look at within ourselves are the things where we really have the biggest amount of growth. So, hi everybody. So that being said, psychic for me was huge and it was really scary. Like I did not want to go there. I didn't want to call myself that. I knew from a long time ago that eventually I probably would, but I held out for a long time and I called myself an intuitive life coach. I was hiding, right? I was hiding behind the real word of psychic because I don't know exactly why God wanted me to use that word, but it literally kept coming up and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. As a matter of fact, back in the day, Jim and I went on vacation one time to Hawaii and literally we would walk from our hotel. We had to go across the street and down the block and then come back up to get to where we wanted to go because there was a fortune teller shop, a mystical shop right there on the street. And I didn't want to go there because I thought if I go there, they're going to know that I'm psychic because there's something about when you have this ability, you recognize it in other people. So that being said, I used to hide, right? I used to be like, I didn't want anybody to know about it. I didn't want anybody to know that I can know things and see things and all of these things, right? Intuitive is acceptable. Right now, you can find car commercials that say the cars are intuitive, right? Whatever. So last year, you guys know I pray about everything. I was praying and I kept getting woken up. And the rest of you that know me, I'm not a morning person. I mean, there's no secret about that I'm not a morning person. And I was waking up like every day for like 3 days in a row, like 4 a.m. And I'm like, oh my God, really? Like, really? You're going to wake me up right now? I'm telling my angels and Jesus, really? You're going to wake me up at 4 a.m.? And finally I was like, well, if you're going to listen, then we won't have to wake you up at 4 a.m. So there was one morning in particular, I don't remember the date, but I remember I had put out all this marketing and it all said intuitive life coach and all of these things. And in the middle of the middle of the night, 4 a.m., early morning, whatever you want to call it, I remember getting up the middle of the night and being like, okay, fine, I'm going. I went downstairs, I started my coffee, I got a cup of coffee, went downstairs to the next level where my office was, and I changed everything. I changed my website, I changed my marketing, I changed my Facebook page, I changed everything because I'm like, I'm tired of resisting it. And what am I afraid of, right? It's a title, it's a word. What does it mean? Well, you have to decide what that means to you. Is psychic something that is scary and out there? Why Jesus wanted me to do it? Well, probably because it's causing a big storm. Like people are like freaking out over it. So let's figure out what it really means and why you're freaking out. Like, what are you really afraid of? The lady that messaged me earlier, she's like, well, I just don't understand it. I've had people completely unfriend me and whatever that have known me forever. And that's okay because for them, they don't get it. They don't understand. And you have to do what's right for you, right? Like if anything else that I teach, it's what is right for you, right? You have to decide what's right for you. The one thing that I know is that for me, I had to step into this role of calling myself a Christian psychic. For everybody that has unfriended me, I have had 10 times the amount of people saying, oh my God, I'm so glad you said this because this is what's happening. Right? I'm so glad that there's a safe place to talk about this because this is what's happening. I'm Christian. I go to church. I believe all these things. I love Jesus, but like these things happen and I don't know how to explain it and I don't want it to be something evil. It's not always evil, right? I mean, yes, there are evil things out there, but 90% of the stuff is good. Yes, spirits visit us. I don't understand why. I know that my family goes to heaven. I know they're with Jesus, but you know what? They come and talk to me sometimes, and that's okay, right? So it's about getting past all this fear. It's about really understanding in yourself what's right for you and what feels right, right? The middle of your gut is going to tell you if something's right or not. So quit being worried about what the word is and find out what's the real meaning of it. What does it really mean? Psychic ruffles feathers. It freaks people out. Okay, bye, Jen. You can catch it later. I just had somebody say, I want to keep listening, but her break's over, so she's got to go back to work. That's the great thing about these things. They record, and you can re-listen to them later. But it's just about really kind of getting into your own self, figuring out what is going on inside you, not being afraid, because I don't know how to explain it, and I don't know what's exactly coming, but I can tell you that these things, these phenomenon, these awakenings, people all of a sudden like being, oh my God, I think I'm intuitive and I don't know what to do with it, or being terrified, oh my God, I'm Christian and this is happening and only, bad people are psychic. Like that scariness has got to go because there's so much more spiritual activity happening right now that we don't understand, right? But Jesus, if we look in the Bible, there was some crazy stuff happening back in those days. I always think back and think if Jesus was walking the earth today and doing the things that he was doing and knowing the things about people that he knew before they even talked to him, right? He would know exactly who they were and what they were doing. They would be terrified. He would be considered a psychic or a mystic or, whatever. He would probably be in trouble for witchcraft. I mean, think back to look what happened, so we've got to figure out what's really going on. What is going on for you? Are you being awakened? Why are you even finding my channel, right? Because people that are finding me, I haven't met before. So you're being led to find me and this message for some reason. So what does that mean for you, right? And then how do we deal with it? Because I don't want anybody else to be afraid. I don't want anybody else to hide the way that I did. I tried to choke it down for years and pretend like I was normal, right? You know what that got me? Xanax. And they wanted to put me on like Prozac. I wouldn't take it, thank God. But, it was just one of those things. And I hid from the word psychic for a really, really long time. So that's part of the reason why I call myself a Christian psychic, because I felt like Jesus was telling me that's what I needed to do. And I needed to just boldly put it out there, right? There are a lot of people who are turned off because I'm Christian, not because I'm psychic, but because of the Christian side. So how do we bridge the gap, right? How do we make Jesus what's important? And how do we make love what's important? And how do we make humanity, being human together in this whole thing that we're going through? How do we grow together and learn to love together? And how do we, follow our hearts and really start to understand what we're doing here, right? Why are we here? What are we doing? Why are we afraid? I had a really good conversation with my friend a while back, and it's been a few weeks ago. And I said, isn't it funny sometimes that the thing that you're most afraid of is what you're really called to do? I don't know. That's what it seems like that. Like, so what are you afraid of? It doesn't have to be that you're psychic. It doesn't have to be, anything about being intuitive. It could be that you really want to change jobs and you're terrified because you don't know if you can do it, right? So what are you hiding from? What are you afraid of? And how do you make that okay and figure out what's the fear in you that's making you not want to do it? Okay, so that's it for today. Hopefully it was informative instead of just a rant, because I know I kind of got a little bit ranty there for a little bit. But anyway, I love you guys. I will talk to you soon. Again, I never know what's coming, and I don't script these. So thanks for joining. I'll post the replay and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.